This is Algebra 1, Lesson 30B, Decimal Parts of a Number. We're going to do examples 31 and 30.3. In 30.1, we have 32 hundredths of what number is 24 and 32 hundredths. Now, this is like a previous video where we talked about fractional parts of a number. So let's just reword this into an algebraic expression. Actually, I think we're going to have an equation, aren't we? Because we've got is, which means equal. 32 hundredths of means to multiply. So we're going to be multiplying that. I'm going to indicate that with some parentheses, or I could have put a dot there, but a dot next to a decimal number might be a little confusing. So 32 hundredths times what number? Well, before in our fractional video, when we weren't sure what the number was, we used what number, okay? And I used like a subscript in, so it didn't look as confusing. Is equal, and then I write 24 and 32 hundredths, okay? So now I can see that I have an algebraic equation, and they are multiplying this variable. This is one variable. They are multiplying it by 32 hundredths. So I can undo that by dividing both sides by 32 hundredths. So now I know what number is equal to this computation. So you can divide that. Use your calculator or whatever your teacher tells you to do. But when you divide that out, you find out that the answer is 76. That's what this division ends up being. So let's think about this for a second. Let's think about if this is reasonable. The Saxon book does not emphasize this, but I think mental math is important. So let's see if that's a reasonable answer. This is about a third, right? Because 1/3 is equal to 0.3 repeating, right? 0.33. So this is approximately 1/3. So 1/3 of some number is about, we'll say that's about 24. A third of something is 24. So would a third of 76 be about 24? Well, a third of 76 is about 25. So yes, I would say that that's about 24. So it's reasonable that our answer, the number, is 76. What decimal part of 42 is 26 and 4 hundredths? So if you're looking at this one and you think, well, let me just go ahead and think, what would be a reasonable answer for this? And then we'll find the exact answer. Some decimal part of 42 is 26. Well, 26, I'm thinking half of 42 would be 21. So 0.5 of 42 is 21, because this is half, right? So we've got a bigger number than 21, so we're going to have a bigger number than 0.5. So I'm going to estimate that it's something above 0.5. Not too far above, but a little bit above. There's your mental math work for today. So here we're going to say what decimal part. So instead of WF, we're talking what decimal. That's how the book defines the variable. What decimal part is the W sub D of, so that's going to be times 42, or I could even write it like this, stick that around like we normally do on the front. What decimal part of multiplied by 42 is, I'm going to write equals 26.04. Now I have an equation and they're multiplying the variable by 42, so let's divide the variable by 42 and let's balance the other side. So what decimal is going to be equal to this computation? Well, you can work that computation out and you're going to find out that it's 62 hundredths. Now, we estimated it would be something a little more than 5/10, and it is. So we did a good job on our estimate. All right, let's look at 30.3. 42 hundredths of 86 is what number? Again, this is a little bit less than 0.5, isn't it? And 0.5 of this would be 43. So I would say it's going to have to be less than 43. So if we get 1,000, we know we messed up, right? That's a good reason to just kind of check it mentally. Know what you're expecting. So let's turn this to an algebraic equation. 0.42 of would be multiply 86 is equal what number? Okay. Now we're going to we don't have to solve an equation because the variable is already by itself. And since that variable is already by itself, all we have to do is work out this computation, and we find out that we get 36.12 when we do this. And that is what number? And that's about what we expected. We said we thought it was going to be less than, 43? And it is. It's less than that, so it gave us a ballpark idea.